On today's Performance TV, we hit the spin cycle as we finish our truck training install, heat up a Camaro with a shifter upgrade, and pre-treat a Porsche to avoid unsightly stains. All that coming up next.
Welcome to another edition of Performance TV. We're hanging out here at the little power shop in Bradford, Pennsylvania. Last week, John Anderson and I were working on this truck. We put in the industrial injection twin turbo, put in some new ARP head studs, and as promised, we're going to put in a new transmission in this truck. But it comes with something very special, and that's this ATS Copilot. John, this is something that folks could put in their truck as a standalone product.
Right.
What all does it do?
It's a standalone transmission management device, basically. It controls the lockup of the converter, so it can control when the converter locks up and how hard, and it also controls the shifts. So when you're driving along, especially a high horsepower truck like this, nice smooth driving, you want nice, clean, soft, crisp shifts.
Absolutely, and we've already got the harness installed down here, so that way we can just go ahead and plug this in. You can pick your spot where you want to mount it on the dash, and it's all right there.
It's all just plugs right in.
All right, well, let's go ahead and finish this up. We're going to get this thing up on the rack and get that tranny changed. Well, now that we have the truck up on the lift, John, we're going to be putting in an ATS Stage 5 transmission to go along with the Copilot that's in there. This isn't actually the transmission that's going to go in the Dodge, because you guys work on all kinds of vehicles here. This is one for a Ford, but it's very similar to what we're going to be putting in here. What makes this a better tranny? I mean, right off the bat, I'm seeing a huge pan here.
Right. It does hold more capacity. This pan helps cool the oil too, because it has cooling fins on the bottom. But the important parts about this transmission is the torque converter especially. It's got what they call a 5-star viscous torque converter. And what that means is this torque converter is better at transferring power at low speeds. Where a normal torque converter, especially under a high horsepower truck like this, slips. And this will transfer more power until the converter locks up. So if you're pulling a trailer, it's easier on the transmission. It's actually cooler and transfers more power, more fuel efficient, more power to the ground, you know, for competition applications too.
And of course, going along with the Copilot that we put inside, man, this is going to be one really nice application to add to this truck. So, you know, we've had Chris over here. He's got the old transmission now, but that's not the only thing that he's been doing. He's been doing something to the fuel tank back there too.
Right, we're installing a fuel sump into the tank.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
John, what is this fuel pump sump that we're putting in by the folks at Beans? What does it do?
It's something they came up with for guys with aftermarket fuel systems. And the way this works is this sump bolts to the bottom of the tank. And a lot of times when you put in an aftermarket fuel system, you have to drop the tank to put the draw straw on the top of it.
Okay.
Well, this you don't have to. You drill a hole in the bottom of the tank, you slide this piece up inside, and it sits right down through. And
okay.
Chris will show us how it all goes together here in a second, but that bolts right to it and seals off the tank. Not only do you get a better fuel supply here, you didn't have to drop the tank, and you get all the fuel out of the tank, whereas most draw straws will leave 4 or 5 gallons in there that you can't get out, you know, normal operation.
Wow, it's going to make a big difference.
And it comes with the push locks on it, just like an AirDog or a fast fuel system would have. You can put the line right to it, and real nice unit.
Okay, well, we're going to let Chris get back to this, putting this together. Looks like it comes with everything you need, with the gasket and all of the other accessories, too. we've had Cody back here putting in this new transmission, and John, you can have the best transmission in the world, but if you're not putting the right fluid in there, well, it's not going to last very long. Why Champion and why all synthetic?
All synthetic oil has better wear properties than a regular oil. It sheds heat a lot better for the fluid coupling and the torque converter. And the other great thing about this Champion oil, it's one of the only ones on the market that you can use in the new Ford transmissions. It's good enough for Mercon SP. And pretty much any oil on the market, you can put this in your transmission with great results.
Yeah, I noticed, I was looking at the label on the back, it lists just about everything you can imagine on here. And this transmission's got a pretty big pan on it. It's going to take a lot of this.
Yes, absolutely. This stuff is really good oil.
All right, well, let's get this in here. We're going to check out the quarter-mile quiz. When we come back, we're putting this on the dyno.
This edition of Performance TV, presented by Low Carb Performance Products, is being brought to you by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. And by Transmission Exchange, the transmission superstore. And by Guard Air. Feel the difference. This week's ARP quarter-mile quiz question comes from Troy in West Virginia. Troy wants to know, pro drivers have to have a license. What about sportsman drivers? And are there different levels?
That's a very good question. As we know, professional drivers in NHRA do have competition license. And if you plan on, as a sportsman racer, wanting to go quicker than 9.99 at a quarter mile, you're going to have to get yourself a competition license as well. For an example, to run in Super Comp like I do, the minimum license requirement you're going to need is going to be a 4 license, which will take you all the way down to $750 in a quarter mile. If you plan on driving a dragster, you need to make sure you have an A certification on your license for a wheelbase longer than 125 inches. If it's a door car, needs to be a B, and there you have it. But there are lots of different licenses, and of course you can always find out more by going to your NHRA division office.
If you have a question for the ARP quarter-mile quiz, send it to the address on the screen. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive an ARP quarter-mile quiz shirt.
Put this thing up on the dyno, John, and to be able to see all the stuff that we've done here over the past couple of weeks. What did she do on the dyno?
Well, it did pretty good. This is going to be stock horsepower graph and stock torque graph right here.
Okay.
So over a stock truck, this thing is tremendous. The exhaust gas temperatures stayed cool on the dyno.
Which was something that was a problem before.
But we're making 70-some pounds of boost. There's a limiter in the computer, and it's cutting the fuel. You can see a drastic drop there.
Yeah, you could see it up here on the torque. Yep. It was just wanting to stop right there.
And it should continue up through. So what we're going to do is we're going to get EFI Live out. We're going to basically reprogram the computer for all these modifications. And this line should continue well up into the 500s.
But these are all things you wouldn't have known until you put it on the dyno first, because you got to do that first. I'll tell you what, John, it has been a great 2 weeks being here. And if folks want to find out more, you can just go to littlepowershop.com about all the things that you do. But I've been gone for 2 weeks, and Tommy's back in the studio in Johnson City, and I hear he needs some help, and I got to get out of here. John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm here with Troy Trepanier from Rad Rods by Troy. Troy is known throughout hot rod and custom circles for a lot of great cars, including a Riddler Award winner, which is the #1 award in custom car building.
In 07, we had the right customer in Ross Meyer and built a little 36 Ford, and it was a great achievement.
Bonneville and Blowfish, another famous car that you built.
7 years ago, George Poteet said, hey, you need to come out to this Bonneville thing and get involved. We built a 69 Barracuda called the Blowfish. We've got 4 records with it. It's a stock wheelbase. We went 319 mile an hour with it last year, so it runs a little single turbo Winston Cup Dodge motor.
You're known for a lot of things. Incredible two-tone paint jobs, immaculate engine compartment.
You know, I was a mechanic before as a fabricator, so we really take a lot of pride in the mechanic side, like even in our Riddler car. And the little 58 Vet here we built for Jim Western's kind of neat. The engine compartment, LS3 is probably the best platform you can use, but I didn't want it to look like an LS motor. So we take a lot of time, and that's really the fun, creative side, is the mechanical side for us.
What's the next project that you're dying to do?
My son Jack, he's 12. He said he wants to get in a 2 Club when he's 16, so I think that's number 1 on my list, is to finally build a car for myself and let him drive when he's 16 and get into 200 mile an hour clubs.
This is Troy from Rad Rods by Troy, and this is his car life.
Welcome back to Performance TV. Today on the show, we've got a client here that he's looking to put a new shifter in. He's converting this car from a street car to a race car. And we've got some examples of great shifters here, the B&M Mega Shifter, B&M Pro Stick, and even the Hurst manual shifter right here. The Pro Stick is mostly a race-oriented, something you put in a dragster, a full-on race car. So our perfect choice today would be the Mega Shifter. B&M makes this model in several different options, plus they make one exactly for this Camaro we're getting ready to put in. Comes with all the components you see here, the shifter, the cable, the handle, the boot, everything you need. And what's really nice about this model, it's made for this Camaro, should be bolt-in, easy as pie.
Easy as pie? Well, you know what? I think after being up there in cold Bradford, looking for something that's easy as pie, and it's usually a lot easier if you do it. So when you say, I've been up there working on trucks, why don't you go ahead
I
and
always
do
it. So, all right, I'll get after it.
All right.
Here, hold this while I get busy. This kit comes with a new shifter arm and a cable bracket, so we're going to remove both the stock ones right now. Put the new brackets on with the spacers they give us, and we'll be business. All right, now we got the new brackets installed. Take the factory ones off and put the new ones on. We're ready to put the cable in. Got it down from up top.
What is this? I was gone for just a little while, and you had to start actually reading directions while I was gone. What is this? Instructions down here.
Well, measure once, what is it? Measure twice, cut once, something like
I don't know, whatever sounds good.
All right, we'll run this up through here. It's pretty nice. They give you the instruction manual for GM and Ford and Chevy.
Yeah, because the shifter will work on other makes and models too.
All right, got a couple more nuts for me?
Yes, I do.
There we go.
Nut and a washer.
We'll attach the cable, and then we'll put the end on it and attach it to the shifter arm.
We don't want to do any final adjusting until we have everything just exactly right. Then we'll check it out and tighten everything up real good. Ready for the little arm down there?
Yeah, I'm getting ready here. I gotta put these sleeves back on. I took those off to run the cable down through. Now they're back on. Now I need that arm.
There you go.
Should be able to get it pretty close.
Think you're gonna be a good guesser there?
Well, you can put the transmission in low gear and put the cable in, and when this slides in, it should be pretty close.
And there are 3 different holes on this bracket, but it tells you the one for the Mega Shifter is the one farthest forward in the car.
Okay.
How about one of those?
Put the cotter pin in it so it don't fall back out. Could you get any longer? It worked. All right, this is all hooked up. Now we'll go back upstairs. The nice thing about this install, it was really easy to disassemble. We removed the console out of the car, took the old shifter out, laid it out of the side. Now, all we got to do, we'll put the new shifter in here, mark our holes. We want to drill it and attach it to the console. Drill those holes, attach the cables, a neutral safety switch, hook up a couple things, be ready to go. All right, before we mount the shifter in the car, we'll put on the neutral safety switch right here and the reverse backup light switches. That way when we get down in there, we won't have to fight to try to do it. We'll do it all before we mount it in the car. One last thing, I'm going to mount the shifter cable to this before I put it into there. So that's what's next. Trying to do it after we've already hooked that cable up down there is nearly impossible. Okay, we've got the shifter cable mounted and bolted in now. We've got it attached to the shifter. We'd put our neutral safety switch on and the backup light switch. In order for the car to start, the car has a stock sensor in it where it has to have the neutral safety switch on it. So we made a couple jumper wires right here, plugged them into our neutral safety switch. Once we get it mounted in, I'm going to plug those into the car harness and it'll fire right up. Now, mount the shifter, bolt it down, and finish this job up.
Hey, Tommy, how are you coming in here?
Oh, we're getting it. We're getting it back in here, getting the console back in, and going to put the plate up here with the shifter indicator.
This B&M Mega Shifter actually comes with a little cover to put down on the base if we were going to be mounting right to the floorboard. But this gentleman has decided he wants to keep it a little stock looking in here, so you've done a nice job working that right into his console there.
Yeah, I'm going to put this boot around here, put the plate on here. It's got the indicator in here, what gear you're in. Looks just about like factory stock when we get it all done here.
Only, in my opinion, a whole lot better.
You can be able to bang through the gears, real solid shifter, not have to worry about it. Last piece we'll do, we'll put this on here, put the little B&M knob on.
And we are good to go. We have more projects, folks, just like this and more, coming up in minutes here on Performance TV.
This edition of Performance TV, presented by Low Car Performance Products, is being brought to you by B&M Performance, a company of firsts. And by Expel, drive a new car every day. And by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology.
Welcome back to Performance TV. Chances are, if you have a performance car, it looks good too. And the last thing you want is a rock chip or scratches or road debris and grime all over the front of it. Today, we've got Tim from Expel Technologies. You've brought us something that's going to fix that problem.
That's correct. We make a clear polyurethane paint protection film that protects, as you said, from the stones from the road and any kind of road debris, insect acids etching the paint, that sort of thing. And it keeps it looking new. And the best part about it is it doesn't change the look of the car at all.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have still a good-looking car and not have a big old clumsy bra or something on the front, something that could damage the paint. And it still looks good. Your car will perform, but also can maintain its looks.
Exactly.
Well, Tommy, you talked about beautiful cars, and that's where we're going to get started on back here. This 911 from Richard at Fat Cat Customs and Harper's Porsche, and let's get started. You got to get it cleaned.
Yes, we do.
Well, before we clean the car, believe it or not, Tommy, we're going to take parts off of it first.
That's right. We got Alex here from Expel. He's going to come in and show us how simple it is to pull these out. All the tools were included. They come with the car. But Tim, why are we removing the hood emblem and the headlights? What's the purpose of that?
Well, the main reason is to keep the product as seamless as possible once it's installed on the car. If we take these headlights out, for example, we can then wrap the edges of the film inside so that you don't see, those edges. That's just one more edge that we can hide, and we try to do that everywhere we can.
Right. You don't want to see the film on the car. You want to hide all the edges and make sure that he adheres better. I like that. Exactly. It's all pre-cut with that tolerance in the cut.
Correct.
So it does wrap around there, and we can seal it off.
Yeah, Tim, because we're not going to be laying a great big sheet across here and then going around and trying to cut it with some kind of X-Acto knife.
Correct. The reason why you don't want to do that is because the film, as strong as it is, it's only 0.08 of an inch thick, and it's very easy to go all the way through that and cut the paint, while you're trying to trim it, and we don't like that idea.
Tommy and Alex got the car all clean. Tim, what would be our next step?
Okay, next step is we're going to lay out the pattern that we're going to put on the hood. We've got pieces for the hood, the fenders, the bumper. He's going to lay that out, and then we're going to spray the gel solution on the car and just get it set on there in place. Then we'll start the installation.
No, these are all pre-cut. How many vehicles do you guys already have?
Approximately 60,000 applications in our database right now, and you know we're every day we have a design team that's out looking for new cars that they'll design. This is another reason why we have so many. This particular pattern is just a 24-inch version of the front hood. Okay, so it basically represents kind of like what the old black vinyl bras did back in the old days. We have
only a lot better looking.
Yeah, a lot better looking. Now we have a product that goes all the way up the hood. We have a full hood, which is a 60-inch piece, and then full fenders, full front bumper, of course. We have the doors, rear fenders. We can do the whole car, and we can do every piece seamlessly in one piece. This particular customer, this is what he wanted. It was the 24-inch coverage on the front.
So what's Alex spraying, Tim?
Alex is using our installation gel. What it is, it's a slip solution that allows you to move the part around. Because it's got an adhesive on the back of the product, you need something to prevent it from sticking right away when you get the part on the car. In the old days, they would use a soap and water solution, which is just a few drops of baby shampoo or dishwashing liquid in a quart of water. The problem is with that product, when you're going over compound curves that are this severe on some parts of this car, the soap tends to prevent it from sticking at all. It wants to keep coming back up. And so what this gel does is it instead provides more of a mechanical impediment to the adhesion. So it holds the product off of the vehicle just enough to let you position it, but when you push the product through the gel, it sticks immediately.
So now that we've seen the product go on, I worry a little bit about the edges and wrapping it around the hood. You have something that's going to make that stay and adhere?
Yes. What he's putting on right now is a adhesive promoter. It's called Edge Prep. It's a product that we developed that increases the bond of the adhesive by 300%. And it's designed just for this sort of thing. It can be used in areas with a really heavy contour, like a spoiler, but it's mainly for wrapping edges.
Kathy, I leave for a little bit. Weren't you guys supposed to do something to this car?
Done. All
Really?
done. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This stuff, Tim, is amazing. Got it all on there. I mean, this is so much better than having a bra on the car, let me tell you.
You can't even tell it's on there.
That's right. If you want to find out more, all you have to do is hop on your website. You said you have over 60,000 different applications. xpel.com to find out more. Folks, that's all we have time for on this edition of Performance TV. You want to find out what we have coming up next week? All you have to do is hop on Facebook. We'll see you around. Isn't that cool?
I mean, I think it looks better than the real.
I know.